You walk into a room you have never been in before, and suddenly your whole body freezes. This has happened before. You know it has. The light, the conversation, the exact angle of the chair in the corner, but it hasn't happened before. It can't have. This is the first time you've ever stood in this room. So what just happened inside your head? For most of history, people assumed déjà vu meant something mystical, a glimpse of a past life, a crack in time, a message from somewhere beyond ordinary explanation. But the real answer is far stranger than any of that. Your brain isn't glitching into another dimension. It's doing something far more useful. It's catching itself. Let's slow this down. Déjà vu means quite literally already seen. Nearly 2/3 of people report experiencing it at some point in their lives, most often between the ages of 15 and 25. Then it fades. Older adults report it far less often. That alone should tell you something. If déjà vu were a mystical event, why would it follow such a strict biological schedule? Psychologist Alan Brown, who has spent decades studying the phenomenon, calls it one of the strangest yet most consistent quirks of ordinary human memory. His research gathered thousands of personal accounts, and a pattern kept surfacing. Déjà vu almost always involves a place, a room, a hallway, a street corner. Rarely does it involve a person's face alone, or a random object sitting on a table. Why would a glitch in time be so selective about geometry? Here's where the science gets interesting. Cognitive scientist Anne Cleary at Colorado State University built an entire research program around a simple but radical idea. What if déjà vu isn't about the past at all? What if it's about similarity? Cleary used virtual reality to test this. She built digital environments, hallways and gardens and living rooms, then designed some scenes to secretly share the same spatial layout as scenes participants had seen earlier, without the participants ever consciously noticing the resemblance. The results were striking. When two scenes shared the same underlying structure, even if every object and color inside them was completely different, people were far more likely to report a feeling of déjà vu. Their brain recognized the shape of the space. It just couldn't consciously place where it had seen that shape before. Think about what that means for your own experience. That room you walked into? It probably wasn't identical to somewhere you'd been. It was structurally similar. Same layout, same flow, same arrangement of furniture relative to a doorway. Your brain compared the new scene to thousands of old ones sitting quietly in memory, found a strong match, and flagged it as familiar, all before your conscious mind had time to catch up. But that still leaves a gap. Familiarity alone doesn't explain the eerie certainty that comes with déjà vu, that specific feeling of, I know exactly what happens next. For that piece, you need to look at a different part of the brain entirely. Neuroscientist Akira O'Connor at the University of St. Andrews ran brain imaging studies specifically designed to trigger déjà vu under laboratory conditions. He did this by showing participants lists of related words like bed, pillow, and yawn, but deliberately leaving out the most obvious related word, in this case, sleep. Later, when asked if the word sleep had appeared on the list, many participants felt a strong, false sense that it had. Here's the key discovery. When O'Connor scanned participants' brains during these false familiarity moments, the regions lighting up weren't the memory centers you'd expect. Instead, activity spiked in the frontal areas of the brain, the regions responsible for decision-making and conflict resolution. In other words, déjà vu wasn't your memory malfunctioning. It was your memory's error-checking system doing its job. Your brain noticed a mismatch between what it expected and what it was experiencing, flagged the conflict, and that flag is what you feel as déjà vu. Picture your brain as a fact-checker running quietly in the background of every moment, constantly comparing new information against stored patterns. Usually this process runs so smoothly, you never notice it at all. Déjà vu is what it feels like when that fact-checker briefly surfaces into conscious awareness, essentially saying, wait, something about this doesn't add up cleanly. Let me flag it for you. That reframes the entire experience, doesn't it? Deja vu isn't a window into the mystical. It's a receipt. Proof that your memory system is actively working, actively comparing, actively protecting you from being fooled by false familiarity. It's your brain's built-in lie detector, and every so often you get to watch it fire in real time. This is also why deja vu fades with age. Younger brains are still rapidly building and refining their memory networks, running more comparisons, catching more near matches. As those networks mature and stabilize, the system runs quieter, and those conscious flags become rarer. Some researchers have even found that people who experience frequent déjà vu tend to score higher on tests of overall memory accuracy. The system that catches false familiarity is, unsurprisingly, run by people whose memory is working exceptionally well. Now think about how differently this feels compared to the way most people describe it. Ask someone about their last déjà vu experience, and they'll almost always use the language of mystery, a shiver down the spine, a feeling like the universe glitched. Nobody says, "My hippocampus flagged a pattern-matching discrepancy." But that is precisely what happened, wrapped in a sensation so strange that your mind reaches for the supernatural to explain it. There's something almost comforting in that. The moment that feels the most uncanny, the most unexplainable, the most like a crack in reality, is actually one of the clearest signs that your brain is functioning exactly as it should. It's not broken, it's not haunted, it's checking its work. So the next time it happens, the next time you walk into a room, or hear a sentence, or watch a scene unfold, and feel that unmistakable wave of, "I've done this before," pause for a second before reaching for an explanation involving fate, or parallel timelines, or past lives. Ask yourself instead what your brain might be quietly comparing. A shape, a layout, a rhythm of conversation that echoes something buried in memory you can't consciously retrieve. You're not glimpsing another dimension, you're watching your own mind's error detection system flicker into view for just a moment, close enough to notice, gone before you can fully examine it. You walked into that room certain you had been there before. You hadn't, but somewhere in the architecture of your memory, something close enough had. And for one strange fleeting second, your brain caught the difference and let you feel it.
This is Stickman Science. If this video made your brain do something interesting, hit like. And if you want more of the strange science hiding inside everyday life, subscribe. See you in the next one.